Oh, hey everybody, I'm Shane.
And I'm Rex from Admin Arsenal. That was a good call out to Google there, Annalisa. So,
Well, I mean, okay, if you're here, you're probably affected by the fact that starting with Chrome 42, Google has they've kept true to their
Their word, yeah.
their word, albeit slightly delayed, that they're going to disable NP-API plugins. So this affects all NP-API plugins, most notably Java.
Java, yeah.
Now they have provided a kind of a workaround that they say by September 15th they're going to completely disable. So this will
It's a temporary fix for now.
Assuming they stick to that, it's a temporary fix until, well, we'll see which company blinks first in this game of chicken. But both have valid points. We're not going to go into that right now. What we're going to do is show you how you can kind of maximize the minimums here. If you are using Chrome and you need Java, we're going to show you a couple of options here.
Little workarounds for you. Best way to find this is to look up our blog.
Perfect.
Chris has done a great job of writing up the best ways to do this.
Yep. If you go to adminarsenal.com, if you go to our blog, it's at this point it's not the most recent blog. It's 2 away. So if you just scroll on down to PowerShell,
Now scroll past those two ugly guys.
while you're looking at these two
Ugly guys, yeah.
Yeah, and Chris effectively breaks down from a PowerShell point of view how you can resolve this. So there are 3 ways. Obviously, individually, if you
Like to walk to every machine.
yeah, you can log in, run the go to that URL to enable the NP API. This is published all over the web. Another way is from Active Directory. Now, if you have a lot of computers, I mean, Active Directory is probably a great way.
It is a good way.
It's a great way of enforcing a Google policy. You just have to grab the Google ADMX files, templates, and import them. Once again, that's all over the web. We're not going to go into that here. We will show you, however, what that would look like. If you open up your
Group Policy Manager, yeah.
Yep, perfect. We do have just one, we've created one GPO under the include OU, and we just called it Google. Let's edit that. And if you're going to do it via a GPO, and of course we're going to show you how to do it from PDQ deploy as well.
Which is the best way.
Under policies, administrative templates, if you've imported those templates, then you should see your Google folder here. Under Google Chrome, you're going to see quite a few. I'm going to remove the standard, or go to the standard so it's a little easier to see. You should see all of these different policies that are available. And the one that you're most interested in is specify a list of enabled plugins. And here you would enable this, and then you would add, in this case, if you want to enable NP-API for all NP-API plugins, you would just type in NP-API there. Yeah, thanks for that, guys. If you don't want to do all of NP-API, you can just enable
Java,
which would be you want to do Java splat, so Java asterisk, and then apply that. And if you want to use PDQ deploy, I'm going to go ahead and close that.
We're going to make basically registry changes using PDQ deploy.
Now, this is what we're going to show you. Chris is our, as you can tell from our blog, Chris is our PowerShell expert, and he's built a script to do this. He's still refining it, so what we're going to show you is not available in the package library quite yet, but it will be up there soon. If not later today, then we're shooting for tomorrow. But at this point, it's going to be called. Oh, looks like we don't have it in here yet. Let me just go. I must have deleted that. Let's just go ahead and import that. 1 second. So it'll be called something like Google Chrome Enabled Java Plugin NP-API. So just look for that in the package library. But anyway, all this does is it runs
PowerShell
script. And open this up. You can see the script. That script name might change. What this will do is effectively the same thing that the GPO does, which means it's going to edit the registry. We'll show you that. So we're going to open up, which computer should we open up?
Let's look at Carla.
Carla? All right. So we're going to open up Carla via a remote desktop.
Now Carla's got Chrome 42 on there, and it also has the current version of Java.
All right, so let's verify. We've got Chrome. And you've probably seen this error then. we're just going to do the really basic, go to Java's verify, and then we'll see what happens. We're going to agree, and you'll see that this plugin is not supported. So it's not even there's not even a way you can go and enable the plugin here. You'd have to follow those steps to actually enable NP API. So nothing up our sleeve. You can see that that's how it works there. So what we're going to do, oh, it looks like we do have a question real quick. Go ahead.
Does this only affect the latest instances of Chrome? Douglas E.
Hi, Doug. Yes, Douglas, it does.
42.
Starting with version 42. But version 42 affects all versions of Java. So if you're running Java 7 and not Java 8, but you have Chrome 42, you're going to run into this same problem.
Yep.
All right. So to nail it in a nutshell, I'm going to
show the registry.
Yeah, we're going to show the registry for Carla.
So in a nutshell, we're going to go and look at the registry entries and what they look like currently, and then we'll make the change, and you'll see the...
So under HKey Local Machine Software,
policies.
we're going to go to Policies, Google, make this a little bigger here. Notice there's Chrome. What we're going to do, whether you use the GPO or whether you use PDQ deploy, there's going to be a new subkey called Enabled Plugins, and then it's going to list the plugins that are enabled. All right. So let's go ahead and deploy. I'm going to minimize Carla for a moment. And we're going to just do a quick deploy once. And we're going to hit Carla just for our test.
Send that out. And let's take a question while it's deploying. Will this break versions prior to 42, or should I only target machines with Chrome version 42?
That's a really good question. This should not. But we haven't tested that.
Yeah.
But this should not, because it's you're following the same way of all you're doing is just saying enable, enable Java or enable NP API. So if it's already enabled, it shouldn't be a problem. But
test it on one before you send it out to everybody.
Test it on one before you do that. And of course, what we're showing is on 42. But you should be okay, Douglas. And if let's put it this way, I would bet. I'm sorry, Ryan. I would bet Lex's life on it. So. All right, so well, we've deployed to Carla. So we're going to open up the Carla remote desktop again. Go back to the registry. I'm going to hit F5. And there's enabled plugins, and you can see, in this case, let's open up that package. We didn't do NP API. We just did Java. So here's the syntax of, or the parameters that you're going to want to pay attention to in this package. Notice, as Chris has it, the required is a dash plugin. And then in this point, it will just add one enabled or disabled plugin at a time, and you just specify what you want. Now, you would do NP API if you just want to enable all Netscape plugins, or Java Splat in this case, and then you can do a dash enable or a dash disable. We're going to focus on the enable. Obviously, that's probably why you're here.
Yep.
So we've enabled just Java, which should work. So let's
test that.
Let's take a peek. So we're going to go back into.
Now, mind you, if you do this change and Chrome is running on your machine, you need to shut it down and then reopen it up.
Chrome needs to completely stop and start again. So we'll go back to Java, verify, agree and continue. And now we're back to Java needs your permission to run. That's what you used to see. So yeah, we'll just click up there and say, allow plugins on java.com or whatever. And then we'll refresh that so we can force it.
There we go.
And now Java's back to running.
Yep.
So it's that simple. Once again, I'm gonna minimize Carla for right now. Actually, let me just go back in there. So what we're doing is simply coming in, creating the enabled plugins subdirectory,
and then adding
it. Now, for every single plugin, this is kind of the convention. Every single plugin that you add, you need to add
it'll increment.
Yeah, it'll add a new. It's odd. It's not an integer. Yeah, I mean it's a string value in each one. So if you wanted to say something like I think it's like Silverlight, you would need to do 2. And then, something like the Silverlight or whatever it is. That's kind of how that works. You just have to go find the name of the plugin, and if you don't want to specify the whole thing, then obviously you can use wildcards. Splat for everything, and question mark for one character.
We've got another question. Is the PowerShell script signed, or will we need to modify the computers to use unrestricted execution policy prior to running the package from PDQ?
Very good. What we have signed, anything from the package library, our packages are digitally signed, but the actual script isn't. What we do, if you write your own PowerShell script, or you run something from us or anybody else, if you look in the remember, we call PowerShell from an install step. We don't use a command step. So this is just like where you'd specify an exe or an MSI in this install file. I'm going to go to the end. In this case, it's a PS1. When PDQ deployed a text that you've got a PS1, we add down here the command line parameters to run that, including running it non-interactive. And then you can see where we actually call the execution policy bypass. And that only works for this particular deployment. And the reason why we're doing the bypass, we couldn't. Everybody has different execution policies set, and since you're not going to get this to run if you're not an administrator on that target machine anyway, that's why we chose bypass, because you can already do all the damage you want anyway since you're an administrator. So the answer is no. You don't need to set a different execution policy because this will force it. We have another question.
That GPO you showed and the PDQ deployment are doing the same thing, right? Yes.
Yes.
We only need to do the PDQ one. Jason A.
Yeah. If you hi Jason, if you if you want to use PDQ deploy, yes, it does do the same thing. Now the cool thing about using group policy, or if you wanted to use like policy pack, which is a fantastic product. The cool thing about using the group policy is that you can enforce that policy every time that computer logs onto the network effectively. So you can make the change to the policy, and it will affect every computer that uses that GPO. Whereas with doing something like this, where you're editing the registry using PDQ deploy or other products, you might need to stay on top of that if it gets changed. Now, can you find out which machines have those? Yes, you can use PDQ inventory and do what's known as a registry scan, and then you'll be able to see which computers, have that registry value set. So you can easily see, oh yeah, these machines have Java enabled, these machines don't, based off of a registry scan in inventory. And if you guys want us to show you that, we will. Just pipe in. It's a little involved, but we'll be happy to walk through it with you.
Now, the other thing you can do, again, GPO will run on all your machines when they log in. You can also set up, if you have inventory, a heartbeat schedule and run this every time a machine goes from an offline to an online state in inventory also.
That's a great point. I mean, we know a lot of customers that use the heartbeat type schedule to run the uninstall ask toolbar package every time a computer, every time PDQ inventory detects that a computer's come online. If they have the appropriate schedule set up and deploy, it'll just uninstall the ask toolbar. You could do the same thing here if you want. And once again, guys, this is a kind of a stopgap until Chrome no longer supports Java at all. This is their way of saying, all right, we're serious about this.
We've drawn a line in the sand.
So now you actually have to take a couple extra steps to do this, and September is the drop dead date. So. Of course, this last December was the drop dead date for doing this, and they extended it by 4 months. So do the math. Who knows if they'll extend it again? And who knows what Oracle's going to do with Java. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. If you guys want... do we
have any more questions?
If you have any more questions.
Has anyone else, like Mozilla said, they'd be doing this as well? Bethany A. Not that we're aware of at this point.
Yeah. No, in fact, if
Oracle said use Mozilla.
If you go to Oracle's response to this, it's when the question came up, how do I get Java to run in Chrome? Their answer was effectively use Firefox or Internet Explorer or Safari.
Yeah,
that was their response. I think we've got a link to that in the blog somewhere. I thought it was kind of classy. Okay, so yeah, we are getting some questions for the scan. All right, so we're going to use PDQ inventory real quick, and we'll show you how to do a registry scan. Do this as fast as we can. So we're going up to inventory. We are going to go to preferences. Going to go to scan profiles. Now we can add this to an existing profile if we want.
Or we can actually just write a new one.
Or we can create a new one. Yeah, well, let's just add it to applications. Why not?
Okay.
Looks like we've got already one. We got a couple of registry scanners in applications for us anyway. This won't be on yours. So you want to add a new
registry
scanner in your scan profile. And what path do you want to go to? We're going to say software, and it's going to be policies, and it's Chrome or Google. And we'll just you want to kind of get as deep down as possible, just so you know, so you're not filling up
scanning
your
forever.
database.
Yeah.
So you could do Chrome. We could go down to enabled plugins if we wanted to, but we're just going to say Chrome for right now. We are going to include the subtree,
which will pick up those plugins.
Perfect. Now we've got that. So let's go and do. Assuming I typed that in right. Lex is no.
Where's my dollar? Where's my dollar? Let's see if that actually goes.
Lex is no yardstick to check to see if anything was typed in correctly. So I'm going to go to Carla. Now I'm going to scan.
I test live, baby.
I'm going to scan. Now, what are we going to scan? We're going to scan with whatever scan profile we added that scanner to, the registry scanner. So we'll scan Carla. Open up Carla, and in the registry panel, there we go. So we see we've scanned, we have 4 entries in Chrome enabled plugins, and there is Java and Silverlight, right? So if you want, we don't have to just look at that from one machine's point of view. In fact, we're going to go ahead and scan. While we're doing this, we're going to scan all of our computers with the application scan profile, because once again, we want to, got to go to collection.
Yeah, there you go.
Scan all those while we're doing this. Now, let's do.
Let's build a collection.
A collection, yeah. Just do a new dynamic collection. We'll say
Java
plugin enabled. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. And I mean, you could make this somewhat complex by saying they have to have Chrome and this, right? But we're just going to go kind of simple. We're just going to say for this filter, we'll go down to the registry. And what do you want to look for? We're going to look for the path first thing. So the path, we're going to say has to contain policies, Google, Chrome, and enabled plugins. There we go. And we're going to create a new value filter, data filter, and the name. Well, see here, the name could vary. It could be number 1, 2, 8, whatever you have in there. So we're not going to actually use the name. We are going to go to the value. And so this is where it can get a little painful because enabled plugins, it's fine. Take back what I said. So we're going to say Java Splat. All right. Now, just so you know, if you have you can disable plugins, and it's going to create on the same level as the enabled plugins registry, disabled plugins. But enabled plugins actually supersedes. So if you have Java Splat in both enabled and disabled, it will be enabled because enabled wins, just so you know. So we're saying any registry value that it lives in enabled plugins and it has a value of Java Splat. So now we've got Carla and Storm that have that. So if we wanted to deploy, pardon me, I'm going to go to, Shane, do you know what the deploy icon looks like?
There we go, buddy.
Yeah. And I'm going to make sure that this is set to scan after scan with applications. That's the profile that we're using. You could always change that to scan a different profile if you wanted. So we're going to say, let's deploy. Who do you want to deploy to?
Oh, well, let's hit Rancid. Or
should we just type them in so we're not having to?
Yeah, let's do that. So let's hit Rancid, and
is that from the
band,
the punk band?
The punk band, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just so you know, once again, everybody, these are computers; they're not people. So a lot of our computers are named after characters.
Be awesome if there was a username granted. Who else?
Yeah.
How about Jerry?
Jerry's always a good one. And then
How about Childs?
Childs.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we're going to deploy. And what should happen? We should see these machines if they,
Once they're done.
if it worked.
Mm-hmm. And their
We should see
scan
these
finishes.
machines show up in here.
Yeah.
And of course, got to call it out. It's because they're scanning. They're going to be scanned after. That's what we have specified. And they're scanning with the application scan profile that looks for that. Perfect.
There we go.
And of course, if you wanted to say, machines that, we could duplicate this. And if you wanted to say that in disabled plugins, then it would show those that were in the disabled plugins. Or
If you wanted to negate it and show everybody that doesn't have them enabled too.
so we could say Java Java plugin. Now keep in mind, without some additional filters, this will affect even machines that don't have Chrome at all by looking at what we're doing. But we're just doing the quick and dirty, where we can say not any. All right, let's see if I did that right. Yep. So Childs is not in there. Carla's not in there. So these are the machines that don't have that don't have Java Splat in the enabled plugins.
Yep.
So yeah, do that math if you want. And if you're like saying, hey, I want to know some of those, in advanced filters, so that we could say that it has to have Java, it has to have at least Chrome 42, and it has to, be missing from this. Send us a line. I don't want to bore people by doing that right now, but send us a line.
Definitely a snoozer, but a good thing.
Maybe we'll throw that into a blog post. And by we, I mean him. Do we have any other questions out there? Now's the time, folks. Go ahead and shoot. Go ahead. All right. Looks like it's a group policy question. For the Chrome ADMX, is it installed on a domain member or on the domain controller? All right. Generally, when it comes to templates in group policy, you want to add that to a domain controller. And then if you're running a group policy, the group policy management console, I'm going to be talking about if you're running group policy for Windows Vista or higher. We're not going to worry about XP because XP doesn't handle ADMX. You want to use what's going on as the central store. So in the central store, you can Google this, but we have a deadwood.local is the name of our domain. And then there's this sysvol. You want to go down to sysvol. And under policy, so this is on our domain controller, and this will be replicated to all other domain controllers. You'll see a policy definitions, or you should. This is if you want to use the central store. What this means, I think it was Andrew that asked the question. What this means, if you have this, policy definitions, and then you see all your ADMX files, including Google's, should be in here, I think, or something, Chrome maybe. Whatever it's called, I can't remember. I added it, but now I don't remember. You have all your ADMX files. Your group policy management consoles should pick that up. So if I'm running the group policy management console, do I have that open? Nope. You can always tell whether or not you're running from the central store by edit your GPO. Pardon me, policies. Click that right there. Administrative templates. You see where it says retrieved from the central store. Usually, if you don't have the central store configured, it would say retrieved from local machine. So the answer is add it to a domain, use the central store. The central store just Google it. You add the policy definitions folder on your sysvol, and then you add all your ADMX and language directories in there, and then all your group policy management consoles will use that. So it works. It works
famously.
Yes. I hope that answered your question. But ADMX files, you can easily Google, where do I get those? It's all over. Where can I, Google group policy ADMX. And you'll be able to, you're going to find links all over to download those and place them in your policy definitions folder. And then you're good to go. So, do we have any other questions? Hey Jason, is there a baseline testing method to test a Java deployment more advanced than Java's site test that it will only show if it's installed? So if I understand your question, you're saying after you deploy, you see us go to java.com verify, and I think you're saying, is there a way to, after the deployment, not natively, if there's a command line that you can use to verify that Java is enabled, I don't know about it. You could probably run command step as part of a package and run that to see if there's if Oracle supports anything to maybe look for the output to say it's enabled. But I don't.
We're not aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The short answer is I don't know, but it might be able to happen.
Well.
Yeah. If we don't have any more questions. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. If you do have any follow-up questions, by all means, hit up our support site.
I think JJ and Annalise will be posting this up later on the web
All right.
after they do the letting, and guess that's it.
Rock on. I'm Shane.
I'm Lex.
See you later.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. If your question was featured during the webcast, if you'll do me a favor and send me your email, email it to webcast@adminarsenal.com. If you have a question that didn't get answered, don't forget to hit up our support, adminarsenal.com/support, and we'll see you next Thursday.